Pittsburgh Trivia is a production of Warrior House Media.
Welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia with your host, Jim Cannon, where uncovering the crazy truth and trivia about Pittsburgh is just the beginning. And who knows, you may even learn a few things in the process. We know life can get pretty interesting around Pittsburgh. Speaking of interesting, did you know that?
We're from the town with that great football team. We cheer the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chuck Noll and all his friends are
Hi, and welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia, the interactive trivia show where you can test your knowledge of all things Pittsburgh and the surrounding region. I'm your host, Jim Cannon. Thanks for joining me. Now, we usually delve into sort of general Pittsburgh trivia and a variety of topics, though on occasion we do special episodes focused on something very specific, and this is one of those episodes. In honor of the NFL Draft being hosted in Pittsburgh in 2026, we thought it would be a good time to test your Pittsburgh football knowledge. Admittedly, if you're more into the flowers at Phipps than football, you may find some of these questions challenging, but we still encourage you to give it a try. Let's go over how the show works. There are 2 rounds of 5 questions each. I'll read a question, pause for a few seconds to let you think about it, and then move on to the next question. At the end of each round, I'll repeat the questions and then provide the answer for each, along with some additional information. After 2 rounds, there's one final bonus question. I'll read it, give a slightly longer pause, and then, just like the 2 rounds before, provide the answer and some more information. And that's all there is to it. The show's just a fun way for you to see what you know about Pittsburgh. The episodes can also be a great educational tool for newcomers to the area or for people just interested in the city. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get into some Pittsburgh trivia. Round 1, question 1. Let's set up the flavor of this episode right out of the gate. What year were the Steelers founded? And I'll give you a hint. Franklin D. Roosevelt had just started his first term in office. And question 2. What was the original name of the Steelers? Question 3. This is a multiple choice question. Including players, coaches, and owners, how many members of the Steelers franchise are currently enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Is it 21, 32, or 40? And question 4. To date, the Steelers have retired only 3 jersey numbers. The first was Ernie Stautner, who was a defensive lineman for the Steelers from 1950 to 1963 and one of the cornerstones of their tough defense, whose jersey number 70 was frozen in time in 1964. Name one of the other 2 players and their respective and now immortal jersey number. And the final question of the round, question 5. Former Steelers kicker Gary Anderson, who played from 1982 to 1994, still holds the team's record as the all-time leader in what? All right, that'll do it for the questions for round 1. Go back and we'll see what you know. Question 1. What year were the Steelers founded? And the hint was Franklin D. Roosevelt had just started his first term in office. The answer? 1933. Question 2. What was the original name of the Steelers? The answer? The Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah, they started as the Pittsburgh Pirates. Art Rooney, who bought the team, adopted the name of the existing baseball team, obviously the Pirates, which back in those days was kind of common. And the thought was that football team owners could entice baseball fans to come out and actually watch live football. But it got a little messy, so to avoid confusion, local fans and media began to just call the team the Rooney Men. And prior to the 1940 season, Art Rooney held a contest through one of the local newspapers to rename the team. One of the submissions was The Steelers, and that's the one Rooney chose. That's the short version of the tale of the name. There's a lot more to it, so maybe on an upcoming episode we'll get more into the rest, so stay tuned. Question 3. This was a multiple choice question. Including players, coaches, and owners, how many members of the Steelers franchise are currently enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Is it 21, 32, or 40? And the answer is, as of September 2025, it's 32. Now, as you can imagine, Art Rooney is in there, along with Chuck Noll and a bunch of the players. But if you're interested, there is a link on the Pro Football Hall of Fame page, and you can pull down the names by team. And question 4. To date, the Steelers have retired only 3 jersey numbers. The first was Ernie Stautner, a defensive lineman for the Steelers from 1950 to 1963, and his jersey number 70 was retired in 1964. Name one of the other 2 players and their respective and now immortal jersey number. The answer? All right, I'm guessing one of these jumped out pretty quickly, but let's see. So one of the pair is defensive tackle Joe Green, whose number 75 was retired in 2014. The remaining retiree, you had a lot of available legends for this, is legendary Steelers running back Franco Harris, and his number 32, which was officially retired in 2022, 2 days after his unexpected death. And the last question of the round was question 5. Former Steelers kicker Gary Anderson, who played from 1982 to 1994, still holds the team's record as the all-time leader in what? And the answer? Scoring. His record stands at 1,343 points over his Steelers career. And guess who's number 2 on the all-time scoring list? Yeah, another kicker, Chris Boswell, with 1,250. And the 3 and 4 slot are Jeff Reed and Roy Gorella, both kickers. You have to get to the number 5 slot to find a non-kicker, with Franco Harris at 600 total points. Round 1 in the books. I hope you enjoyed your mental wind sprints. Round 2 is just pure conditioning, so here we go. Round 2, question 1. We'll get away from the Steelers just for this one, and we'll go collegiate. Who was the last Pitt Panther to win a Heisman Trophy? And question 2. All right, back to the Steelers. Which NFL team was the first one the Steelers beat in a playoff game? And no, it was not Cleveland. Question 3. Speaking of playoffs, in which decade did the Steelers reach the playoffs the most times? Was it the 1970s, the 1980s, the 2000s, or the 2010s? Question 4. Which former Steelers head coach had a total record, and I'm including playoffs in this, of 161 wins, 99 losses, and 1 tie? And this coach also had 1 Super Bowl win. And the final question of round 2, question 5. This is a fun one. In 1972, East Liberty business owners Al Vento of Vento's Pizza and Tony Stagno, Stagno's Bakery, formed this Steelers fan club with a militant name to help boost the team's morale. They formed the group after learning the club's namesake was half Italian. That's it for round 2. Let's go back and check your answers. Question 1. This was a Pitt question. Who was the last Pitt Panther to win a Heisman Trophy? The answer? Running back Tony Dorsett in 1976. That was the same year the Panthers won the national championship. Dorsett rushed for 2,150 yards and 22 touchdowns, finishing his college career as the all-time leading rusher at the time, and, check this out, was the first player in football history to win the Heisman, a college national championship, and a Super Bowl. Question 2. Which NFL team was the first one the Steelers beat in a playoff game? The answer? The Oakland Raiders. And that was the 1972 AFC Divisional Playoff game, famous for the immaculate reception by Franco. Now, unfortunately, the following week, the Steelers lost the AFC Championship game to the Miami Dolphins, the same Miami Dolphins team that went undefeated that year and ended up winning the Super Bowl. Question 3, we were keeping with the playoff theme with this one. In which decade did the Steelers reach the playoffs the most times? Was it the 1970s, the 1980s, the 2000s, or the 2010s? The answer, it was the 1970s when the team reached the playoffs 8 times. Question 4, which former Steelers head coach had a total record, including playoffs, of 161 wins, 99 losses, and 1 tie, along with a Super Bowl? The answer, this should have been pretty easy to nail down, given that most of us only know, 3 total coaches in our lifetime. And Chuck Noll had 4 Super Bowls when he left, so kind of narrows it down. The answer, of course, is Bill Cowher. Now, Mike Tomlin also had 1 Super Bowl win, but his total record was 201 wins, 126 losses, and 2 ties. And Tomlin coached 4 years longer than Cowher. And the last question, question 5. In 1972, East Liberty business owners Al Vento of Vento's Pizza and Tony Stagno of Stagno's Bakery formed this fan club with a militant name to help boost the team's morale. They formed the group after learning the club's namesake was half Italian. What was the name of the club? Franco's Army. And the club used to wear red, white, and green, the colors of the Italian flag, and during games you could hear them yell out, "Run, Paisano!" And you could easily locate them in the stands because they wore these old army helmets emblazoned with Franco's Italian Army on the front. And the club, in fact, was so popular back in the day that Frank Sinatra was actually inducted as an honorary member. All right, well, that was good stuff for round 2. I think most diehard fans could have nailed most of the answers. Well, we're about to see just how diehard you can be, and we're going to go for the extra point with the bonus question. Before we do that, keep in mind, these episodes are free. You can take them with you. You can download them for on the go, for the drive to work. You could even listen to this between draft picks. Yeah, see, we're always thinking ahead. So with that, let's get ready to tackle the bonus question. Put on your helmet, get in your 3-point stance, and get ready for the snap. Here we go. All right, here we go with probably the most unique question of the entire episode. The Steelers are one of 7 NFL teams without this. And here's a hint. The Dallas Cowboys are certainly not one of the 7. All right, we'll get to the answer. I know this one was a little weird, and I'm not sure how many people guessed correctly, because this is not a stat question. This is not for the hardcore football nerds. This is for the people thinking outside the box, really. The answer, as of the 2025-2026 season, 7 NFL teams, including the Steelers, do not have official cheerleading squads. The Buffalo Bills, Chicago Bears, Cleveland Browns, Los Angeles Chargers, New York Giants, New York Jets, and the Steelers. Now, the reasons for that range from everything from financial decisions, not wanting to spend money on that, to focusing on the game day atmosphere, to even morality stances by some of the ownership. So the New York Giants, they are the only team that has never featured cheerleaders in its history. The Steelers disbanded their last squad, the Steelerettes, in 1969, believing they were a distraction. So there might be some truth to that, given that a couple years later they started their Super Bowl run in the 70s. Chicago Bears, they have been without the Honey Bears since 1985. The Buffalo Bills, they suspended their Buffalo Jills program following a 2013 lawsuit, and I'm not going to go into the details on that. The Los Angeles Chargers, they disbanded their cheer team in 2020 due solely to financial reasons. So the Cleveland Browns do not maintain full-time professional squads, though the Green Bay Packers sometimes use collegiate cheerleaders for their home games, and that's why they weren't included in that 7. And then some teams, like the Bears, formerly had squads, while others, like the Steelers and the Giants, just sort of maintain a no cheerleader policy as part of their organizational culture. It's just the way it is. So clearly, the lack of pom-poms hasn't really hurt the Steelers' legacy too much. Maybe there's a lesson in there. I don't know. But that's it for this NFL Draft Special Edition of Pittsburgh Trivia. I hope you had some fun and were able to tap into some of that Pittsburgh football knowledge. We'll line up some more sports-specific trivia in the future. But we'll be back next episode with some great general Pittsburgh trivia. Thanks for listening, thanks for playing, and we'll see you next time.
What? You're never gonna believe this. We'll leave that nugget for next time. So if you want more wacky Pittsburgh trivia, be sure to subscribe and we'll invite you back to our next episode. But if you just can't wait, visit our website at pittsburghtriviapodcast.com, where we think Pittsburgh trivia isn't trivial.